Hello and welcome to our webinar, Improve Healthcare Outcomes with Purpose-Built Data Warehouses. We're thrilled that you're here with us today, and we're excited for this informative discussion with our experts from ZS and AWS. My name is Jonica Wolf, and I'll be your moderator for today. A few notes before we get started. We want this session to be very interactive, so at any point during the presentation, we encourage you to participate in the group chat and enter your questions in the Q&A window. At the end of the presentation, we'll address your questions, and if we don't have time to answer them live, we'll follow up via email. Also, at the end of the presentation, please take a few seconds to fill out our feedback survey. So in today's webinar, we're going to be discussing healthcare trends and challenges that are associated with cloud migrations and the different approaches used by healthcare organizations to accelerate time to value. We'll also share best practices for building high-performing data and analytics capabilities, leveraging Amazon Redshift and Lakehouse architecture. So let's get started by learning more about our presenters. Gaurav and Susan, can you please give us some quick introductions?
Hello, everyone. My name is Gaurav Tiwari. I'm an associate principal at ZS Associates, and I focus on our health plan and provider customers in areas such as information management and advanced analytics. We're a global professional services firm with deep expertise in healthcare, and a lot of our work involves use of cutting-edge technologies. We have a long history of working with AWS, and it's my pleasure to co-present with Suzanne from AWS today.
Thanks, Gaurav, and thanks for asking me to partner with you on this. My name is Susan Arroyan, and I'm with AWS. I support our global startup healthcare and life science partners, and I focus on analytics. My background is 28 years in life sciences and healthcare. And, I'm really, thanks for inviting me.
Great. Thanks so much for those introductions. So first, let's discuss some current industry trends. Like many organizations, healthcare leaders are on a mission to be more agile and data-driven in their decision-making. Gaurav, can you share some more details on what's going on in the industry when it comes to data and analytics?
Sure. There's actually a lot going on in the industry, and I'm happy to share a few examples. To start with, there is a huge push towards data interoperability. This is allowing patients to have more control of their own healthcare data. This is also allowing healthcare organizations to share information more seamlessly in order to serve patients better. We're also observing that healthcare is becoming more and more value-based and personalized. This is leading to increased use of large data sets such as genomics and more complex analytics computations for predicting and measuring health outcomes. There's also increased comfort in using AI and machine learning across the industry and even with clinicians. The focus now is on practical usage and following an ROI-driven approach. Organizations are actively setting up innovation labs and looking for ways to operationalize and scale AI/ML capabilities. Lastly, there's a huge surge in the amount of care being delivered virtually using technologies such as telehealth, remote patient monitoring, health and fitness apps, etc. This is leading to newer type of integration challenges as well as analytics challenges. So there's a lot going on.
Great. And Susan, can you tell us about some common challenges that you're seeing healthcare companies facing?
Yeah, healthcare has faced several challenges in their journey to the cloud. For years, they've been working on various business intelligence initiatives, but as data has grown, so have the silos within these organizations. And, this has caused a very fragmented network of data with very little interoperability, which Gaurav just mentioned, right? It makes it really difficult to maximize the value of one's data. And so we're now seeing that, it's tough for the C-level executives to really see the ROI from the investments they've made over the past few years. But as we start to see the effects post-COVID, healthcare organizations really find themselves in a situation now where digital transformation is a must. The world has gone virtual, but so has much of healthcare. So we've seen telemedicine grow. We're now seeing a lot of digital therapeutics, and the amount of data that will be generated in the next few years will basically exceed any expectations previously had. So in this case, we really need to think about how do we satisfy the needs of healthcare today, but then how do we plan for the next 5 to 10 years? And how do we build something that's really highly scalable, really available, secure, and flexible so that healthcare can actually make more of the data that they have? So at AWS, we have put together what we call the modern data architecture. And it was put together to handle exactly what we're talking about. Basically, an architecture that can handle extremely large volumes of data, but with the ability to basically use different tools and services for different use cases. So there's no more one size fits all. Basically, we've got scalable data lakes. We're able to seamlessly move data between different tools. And of course, there's a unified governance and security and access to all of these services. And we have to keep in mind, we have to build something that is cost effective, but doesn't compromise the performance. Because obviously in healthcare, there's a lot of near real time analyses that have to occur. And so the AWS modern data architecture has taken this all into account. And if you see now, these are the AWS tools and services that actually support this modern data architecture. So we've got SageMaker, our AI ML, and I know in this conversation we're going to talk a lot about Redshift, but it all starts right there in the middle with an S3 data lake. And essentially, this is a broad and deep collection of tools that we use to support our customers and really enable our customers to move data between data lakes and between purpose-built data services. And to get to this state, this is what's been difficult for a lot of healthcare and actually a lot of people in different industries. And it takes a really good partner with a thoughtful implementation plan to really help our customers through this process. So I know ZS has been a partner of AWS for a while. I know you guys have extensive experience and a real purpose-driven migration approach that provides great value to customers. I think it'd be helpful, Gaurav, if you kind of dove into how you drive customers through achieving this modern architecture.
Thank you, Suzanne. We, in fact, have found the Lakehouse architecture very useful. It provides us the ability to build performance and highly scalable solutions while being cost efficient and being compliant from a security perspective. As you all know, like cloud transformations are large programs, and it requires close collaboration across different stakeholders. It's not just a technology implementation, but there's also a huge element of change management associated with these programs. Change management in the way of how different stakeholders interact with each other, and change management also in the terms of how can you be more agile and as an organization. So first of all, it starts with a clear alignment in terms of vision. And the key here is having having clearly defined success criteria, which is easy to measure and is aligned across all stakeholders. Then there's need to have a roadmap. And as Suzanne mentioned earlier, you need to not just think about immediate priorities, but you have to also think about your priorities 5 years, 10 years down the line. And then there's an element of prioritization so that you can decide like what needs to be done sooner than later. Before you start the implementation, it's always recommended to do some feasibility test and finalize the design. A lot of times it will save you effort in rework later on. And don't try to build the entire solution at once. Focus on your most important use cases and try to build foundational capabilities first, and then try to make incremental improvements over time. This will make sure that you are being more agile and you are delivering value along the program. And this will make all your stakeholders happy and well connected throughout. Next slide, please. So as you think about going about some of these transformational programs, and especially in the context of data and analytics, it's important to understand that you're dealing with various types of users. Some of them are data scientists, some of them may be like simple headquarter users, may not have a lot of technical proficiency. Others might be data engineers and so on. So it's not about just building a solution, it's all about building an experience. And specifically in the context of data analytics platform, the solution architecture or the solution components could vary, but traditionally you can think of it in a few parts. The first part is focused on infrastructure management, and this is important because you need to make sure that you're building, whatever you're building is very closely tracked, it's highly secure, and complies with all of your industry regulations as well as government regulations and your internal policies. Uh, then storage and publish becomes extremely important. And there are a variety of ways you can go about data transformations and for the various needs. For example, it's not just about ingesting the data, but how you prepare it, model it, and make it available to your different stakeholders. After that, there's a concept of data marketplace. And what it means is whatever data you have, and healthcare organizations have tons of data, whatever you have, it needs to be easily searchable. And for that, you need to have like necessary metadata on top of the data sets and have like appropriate lineage and relationships established across data sources. And finally, from an end consumption perspective, it needs to be easy to analyze, visualize, and search. As you work on AWS, you would realize that there are a huge number of services, and AWS in fact launches new services every week, and there are enhancements deployed for existing services every week, and some of them can be game changing. So as you think about this, and as Susan mentioned earlier, it's important to make the right use of the right service at the right time. Let's take storage as an example. So your Amazon S3 can serve as the data lake, and it could be like the place where you have all of your data together. The beauty about S3 is the storage cost is very low, and it integrates very seamlessly with most AWS services. But if you're looking for a more high performance querying and analytical type of workloads, Amazon Redshift does wonders in terms of those type of use cases. However, if your workloads are more towards transactional data and looking at like smalls and bits and pieces of information and more row level analysis, your RDS or Aurora type of databases would do wonders. And Health Lake is a recent AWS offering which works wonders if your analytics is based on top of like the FHIR data sets. So as you can realize, there are like a number of services available, and it requires somebody with deep expertise around which services work best in which scenarios so that you can derive the most value out of the AWS ecosystem. What's also important is the need for accelerators. A lot of these things have been done in the industry for very long. And as a company, we have been doing some of these things as well. You don't want to be reinventing the wheel, and make best use of like services or assets and accelerators which have been already developed. Examples of assets could include architectural patterns, sample architectures, frameworks, but there are also like a number of real technical accelerators. It could be as small as converting data sets into Parquet or high compression formats, or it could also be things like which allow you to seamlessly convert your relational data sets into FHIR standards. Next slide, please. Talking specifically about Redshift, and as we talked about Redshift being like your key AWS service for cloud data warehouse solutions, the thought is you need to have all of your data as part of your centralized data lake, and then build purposeful data warehouses on top of it. When I say purposeful data warehouses, it could be a few use cases across a business unit, or it could be multiple use cases within a business unit. And it would really depend upon the size, scale, and the complexity of the use cases. A few examples of how we have seen purposeful data warehouses include data warehouses, which are primarily focused on sales and marketing needs. It gets into things like improving patient or member engagement. It focuses on broker analytics, uh, personalizations, and so on. I'll share a couple of examples later on to highlight this particular use case. Another big area is contracting. There are many other ways you could go about it, like clinical decision support, population health management, and many others. The key takeaway here is go about your data warehousing strategy with purpose, have like clear use cases in mind, and then have a plan around how do you scale them further. Let me show you a few examples so that you can relate to it better. This one I'm particularly passionate about. So contract negotiations, contract optimization is a big deal within healthcare. There are various healthcare entities with different needs. So for example, manufacturers and pharmacies are looking for better access. Distributors are looking for increased volumes. Payers and providers are looking for cost-effective ways to deliver high-quality care. And the center of it all is contracting. So the beauty of this particular use case is even if you make like slight improvement in the whole process, it could result in millions or even billions of dollars of increased revenue or savings for the organization. We did this type of work for one of our healthcare clients, and Redshift was a big part of it. And through Redshift, we started the implementation and were able to provide like the first release in a matter of like 4 to 6 months, which also included requirements and finalizing the solution design. And it started with approximately 50 users. But over a period of time, we were able to scale this solution to over 1,300 users, including some externally facing users. And we were able to get excellent reporting and performance runtimes, even on data sets which ran into billions of records. This second example is also very close to my heart because this is one which allows AI and ML capabilities to scale, and it's an excellent example around operationalization of AI and machine learning. In this situation, the client was looking for ways to make their sales team more effective. And to be able to do that, we built a solution which was able to provide personalized recommendations at a representative level and very targeted towards like specific customers that they were interacting with. This whole engine provided like a huge lift in customer experience, as well as the information was very easy to consume, and the accuracy of the recommendations was loved by the sales team. Redshift was a big part of this whole solution, and this really helped us to generate almost real-time recommendations and added like great value to the client organization. As part of this, the recommendations that we generated were directly deployed to the CRM platform, which was in Salesforce. In that ways, it also involved very less change management for our client. And the last one that I wanted to share today was for a regional health plan who was looking for compliance with CMS and ONC interoperability mandates. They had a very hard timeline driven by the regulation compliance dates. And we worked with them and leveraged various AWS services to ensure they were compliant with the patient API and provider API interoperability requirements. A large part of it was also focused on internal analytics they had to do to support their members and providers. And Redshift Data Warehouse was a big part of doing that. So while the Fire server enabled seamless data exchange with members as well as providers, the Redshift Data Warehouse helped with all the analytics need internally within the organization to support the providers and members.
Great, Gaurav and Susan, thank you so much for that informative discussion. In conclusion, we want the audience to focus on 5 key takeaways when thinking about how to successfully implement modern data and analytics capabilities. First, it's important to have strong collaboration across business and IT stakeholders. Second, companies need to learn how to be agile and realize business value early. Third, plan for future scalability, performance, and cost efficiency. This should not be an afterthought. Fourth, leverage data lake for storage and build data warehouses with purpose. And finally, engage with experts early and often to accelerate your journey. So if you'd like to learn more about how ZS and AWS can help you transform your digital and analytics capabilities, email us at alliances@zs.com to learn more about a private workshop we can conduct with your organization. Okay, looks like we have time for a few questions. And remember, if we don't get to your specific question, we'll be sure to email you directly with the answer. So here's a good one around security. We have very strong security policies within our organization which prevent us from moving PHI data to the cloud. How do you suggest we manage that? Gaurav, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So we work with a number of healthcare organizations, and what we are realizing now is healthcare organizations actually feel that their data is more secure on the cloud versus on-prem. And this is because cloud provides best-in-class kind of network security features, prevention against cyber attacks, and a host of other things. So be confident with moving your data to the cloud.
And Gaurav, I think it's important to mention that the modern data architecture is built around a unified data governance that actually manages security and access as part of the entire architecture. And I think this is something that we could talk about in more detail. So for the user who asked this question, please reach out and we will we'll address this more.
Okay, it looks like we have time for one more. How about this one on costs? We're interested in the performance and scalability that AWS and Redshift can provide, but we are concerned about the potential increase in maintenance costs post-cloud migration. What should we prepare for cost-wise?
I can take this one. And actually, I hear this a lot from our clients. And to be honest, what we have seen in various cases, the cost actually goes up. It's not because Redshift is expensive. It's primarily because since users like using it so much that they end up using it more. And they end up using it for use cases such as AI and machine learning, which they were not using it before for. So if you do an apples to apples comparison, the costs are actually much lower. But in reality, it may be higher or lower depending upon how you use it.
Or yeah, that's correct. I mean, definitely Amazon Redshift and the modern data approach that it takes to analytics by adopting the data lake-based architecture, it really allows users to take advantage of the real-time analytics and the ML AI that's built into it without basically having to re-architect an entire system. And it's also important to note that Redshift, it's the only cloud that lets you run queries at scale against your data lakes. So it's quite different than other data warehouses. And we have conducted a lot of research on this, and Redshift is actually at least 50% less expensive than all other cloud data warehouses. And the pricing is very clear and transparent. And there's also options out there where our customers can purchase reserved instances, which save them up to 75% compared to on-demand prices when you commit to longer-term contracts. So, the pricing, as we said, it is 50% less expensive than the other clouds, but it also offers a lot more for users. So we do see users do a lot more when they're in Redshift.
Okay, great. Well, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you for attending our webinar and listening to our presentation. Again, if you have any follow-up questions for ZS or AWS, please email us at alliances@zs.com. And please remember to share your feedback in the survey. Thanks so much for your time today, and we hope you have a great day.